Dawn spills across the savannah, revealing a world already awake, already hungry, and already looking for somewhere or someone to eat. Through the golden grass walks an old buffalo bull, powerful enough to face lions, yet tormented by enemies smaller than a grain of maize. Ticks crowd the folds beneath his neck, around his ears, and along the warm shelter of his belly. He scratches against a dead tree, but thick hide and heavier horns make precision work rather difficult. Each irritated shake offers only a few seconds of relief. The passengers beneath his hair simply tighten their grip. High above him, a flock of red-billed Oxpeckers has noticed a moving landscape rich with opportunity. One adult bird drops from the flock and lands beside the bull's chipped left horn claws, locking firmly into coarse hair. She studies every fold of skin with the concentration of a surgeon and the appetite of something that has skipped breakfast. Her red bill closes around the first swollen tick. For the buffalo, it is relief. For the bird, it is the beginning of a working day. The Oxpecker's bill is built less like tweezers and more like a small pair of shears, sweeping rapidly through hair and skin folds. She works beneath the horn boss, where the buffalo cannot scratch, and parasites enjoy excellent protection. The ear is another crowded district, although entering it requires a certain disregard for personal boundaries. The buffalo flicks the ear. She jumps, hovers for half a heartbeat, then lands again as though nothing happened. Other Oxpeckers arrive hopping across the bull's back and shoulders in a loose but highly competitive cleaning crew. A rich patch of ticks attracts 3 birds at once. Good manners last until the best morsel begins to move. The focal bird slips beneath the buffalo's belly, hanging almost sideways, while the giant walks steadily onward. From this moving platform, she gains food height transport and a useful view of anything approaching through the grass. But the morning heat is rising, and the buffalo has another form of relief in mind. He turns toward a shrinking waterhole followed by dust flies and an audience of birds. At the muddy shore, the Oxpeckers lift away and settle on nearby branches, waiting for their enormous feeding ground to return. The bull enters slowly. Water climbs over his knees belly and flanks cooling skin that has baked beneath the sun. Below the surface, small silverfish detect the disturbance and gather around his legs. At first, they keep their distance, testing the unfamiliar shadow with quick, nervous turns. Then one fish darts forward and nibbles loose tissue beside a cluster of external parasites. Dozens follow, surrounding each leg with flickering silver bodies and remarkably determined mouths. Above water, Oxpeckers patrol the exposed back. Below it, fish investigate the submerged belly and lower limbs. For a brief moment, the buffalo has become a 2-story feeding station. Feathers upstairs, fins downstairs. Mud clouds the water, but the bull remains still, surrendering to the most crowded bath of his life. When he emerges, water streams from his hide, and the Oxpeckers return before the final droplets have fallen. The focal bird finds a pale wound on his right shoulder, opened earlier by scratching and irritated by flies. Fresh blood is difficult to ignore. She kicks once, and the buffalo's skin twitches sharply beneath her feet. A second peck earns a violent tail sweep and an unmistakable warning shake. The partnership has limits. Remove the parasites, and the guest is welcome. Enlarge the wound, and hospitality ends quickly. She retreats to the neck folds and resumes hunting ticks, a safer meal for both bird and buffalo. A shadow crosses the grass. An African hawk eagle dives toward the distracted flock. The Oxpeckers explode into the air, scattering around the buffalo's horns as the eagle misses by a wing length. When danger passes, the focal bird joins a red-billed male on a dead branch, and the day's struggle gives way to another urgent task. The pair searches this woodland edge for a nest cavity narrow enough to discourage thieves, but deep enough to shelter a family. Inside a hollow mopane trunk, they discover darkness-dry wood and a defensible entrance. The female carries strands of grass, while the male collects soft buffalo hair directly from a patient donor. The nest takes shape as a hidden cup of stems, feathers, and stolen fur. A brief courtship display follows raised wings, quick calls, and a gift of food delivered with impressive seriousness. Soon, 3 pale eggs rest inside the cavity, holding a future that weighs almost nothing and demands almost everything. The female incubates while the male travels with the buffalo herd, returning with insects and fragments of soft food. Outside, the old bull crosses the dry plain once again, carrying both parasites and the birds that depend upon them. A night storm bends the mopane branches, but the deep cavity keeps the eggs dry. At dawn, the first shell cracks beneath the female's breast. 3 chicks emerge blind, nearly naked, and entirely convinced that every vibration must mean food. Their parents answer by working longer hours across the buffalo herd. Ticks fly larvae and soft insects disappear into red bills, then return to the nest as meals for the growing chicks. The old bull tolerates their hurried footsteps, although an oxpecker sprinting across one's face is not especially restful. Within days, dark pin feathers cover the chicks, and the nest cavity becomes considerably less spacious. Competition begins early. 3 open mouths rise at once, each apparently certain that starvation is seconds away. A slender tree snake climbs toward the cavity, guided by scent and the faint begging calls within. Both adults attack, striking the snake's head until it loses its grip and drops into the grass below. The chicks survive, but defending them has cost valuable feeding time. The dry season deepens, grass turns brittle, insects decline, and the waterhole contracts into a dark patch of mud. The buffalo herd walks farther each day, forcing the parent birds to travel between moving hosts and the distant nest. The small fish crowd into the remaining water, while the old bull hesitates at a shoreline thick with mud. He steps in and sinks to his knees, sending the fish outward in a sudden silver burst. The Oxpeckers call sharply from his back. Beyond the reeds, tawny shapes are moving against the wind. A lioness advances low through the grass, using the thirsty herd's distraction as cover. The buffalo lifts his head at the bird's alarm and turns before the ambush is complete. Adults close around the calves, presenting horns instead of panic, and the lioness abandons her approach. The bull returns to the water, where fish gather around his legs, and oxpeckers resume their work above. Then the sky darkens. Rain arrives in heavy drops, flattening dust, and filling every footprint with water. The storm restores the pool, cools the herd, and sends insects rising in clouds above the wet grass. For the parent oxpeckers, scarcity becomes abundance almost overnight. The nestlings are now feathered juveniles, brown-billed and restless, staring through the entrance at a world built for wings. The first juvenile launches, drops alarmingly, then catches the air just above the grass. Its sibling follows with slightly more confidence and considerably less grace. The parents guide them toward the buffalo herd, calling from the old bull's broad back. One juvenile attempts its first landing slides across wet hide and clings desperately beside the shoulder scar. The bull barely reacts. After birds, fish, ticks, and lions, a clumsy youngster is a minor inconvenience. The juvenile watches its mother sweep through the hair, then copies the movement with a bill still dark from youth. Its first target escapes. The second is mostly dust. The third is a real tick, and the lesson suddenly makes sense. Across the herd, dozens of oxpeckers work simultaneously, each buffalo carrying its own shifting constellation of birds. The old bull enters the renewed waterhole, and more than 100 small fish gather beneath the surface. Fish clean the submerged legs and belly, while oxpeckers search the exposed neck, face, horns, and back. Thousands of tiny parasites cannot be removed in one miraculous moment, but every successful bite changes the balance. The bull emerges calmer, his hide glistening as the cleaning flock rides with him into the evening light. The young oxpecker settles beside its mother, no longer merely a hungry chick, but an apprentice in one of nature's strangest trades. As the sun disappears, buffalo birds and fish return to their separate worlds until hunger, irritation, and opportunity bring them together again.